The RockShox domain may be a very cheap fork, but it may also come on your bike. So today, with a little bit of setup and tuning, see how far we can take it. We always want to use every resource available, including from the manufacturer. I honestly find Reddit to be the most honest platform out there. RockShox has this thing called Trailhead app. It's a super useful tool. So I put my weight into here at 220 pounds. And if we go e-bike, it just gives it an extra 10 PSI. Here's my domain, and I've already spent about 50 miles on it with zero setup, and whoever owned it had the Rebound in the right setting. If you want to dial your fork in, you're really going to need some tools. So let me show you and get them out from in front of the camera. We're going to need to spend some money to get our suspension set up correctly. So I bought the cheapest shock pump off Amazon. It costs $18, and it's called the Elso War. I highly recommend you guys getting a digital shock pump. I use this compact one from Blackburn because it goes in my backpack nice and sweet. So I have this $90 tire inflator that I can stick in my backpack, but you don't need to spend that much, but we do need to get our tire pressure super dialed. Filming your suspension is incredibly powerful for diagnosing issues. So here's my setup. It's an Insta360 X4 with a motorcycle mount, and I have a DJI Action 5. Just buy anything that doesn't say GoPro because they're too busy writing Remy's paycheck. Do you need all these fancy tools to get your shock dialed? Absolutely not. So let me put this into perspective. There's a ton of windsurf and kitesurf gear above me, and I don't really care about that stuff because I go wind sporting maybe 50 times a year maximum. So I have like old junky stuff, and it's not very dialed in. So we're probably gonna need some tokens. You may not have a massive hoarder collection of tokens, but I know from looking at the information on the domain, it does come with 2 tokens installed. I like to build these sag measuring tools based on the travel of the fork. So our target sag is going to be probably 15 to 20%. And I wrote 30 on there, but just don't mind that. So every fork has its preference. Fox 38, that one likes to be 15 to 20% sag because it's very plush. Suntour, pretty plush, didn't do any setup on it because nobody cares about it. There's this thing called bike sag. So basically the weight of the bike is pushing the fork down. So watch when I lift it up. It probably went up like 7-10 mils or something. It's up to you if you want to measure it with the bike sag or without it. The point of the cardboard tool is to keep things consistent if we do need to dump all the pressure out of this fork later. Before using the Trailhead app to get our target air pressure, it's super important to put your riding gear on because you may gain some weight depending on what you ride with. So with all this gear on, I weigh 12 pounds more than I do with my normal clothes on. So on the breakdown, it does show 2 tokens inside of the domain, but you do want to verify before you start. Removing the top cap is super simple. My camera glitched out because it's super hot inside of the garage. So mine had 2 tokens in it, and I took both tokens out for the initial setup. Now, when it comes to tire pressure, it's incredibly important, especially with a 38mm stanchion fork that you're going to be hard charging on, to get that thing at least at 25 PSI if you're a big boy. So I'm heading out for a tuning session. So all this stuff is going inside of my backpack. I have the Evoc e-bike battery carrier. It has a built-in back protector. It's really important to have some tools, tire pressure, and the shock pumps with you. And if you do have cameras, bring those along. There's something fishy going on with the domain because it's recommending me 78 PSI and I was previously running it at 54 PSI. That was a perfect 15% sag. So I just went with the recommended setting, but I did pull the 2 tokens. I can't tell you how many times I've messed my clickers up, so I only adjust the clickers right before I'm on the trail. So basically I'm double checking that I'm 5 from all the way at the turtle. The clicks are measured from all the way at the turtle. So triple double check your clickers are in the recommended setting from the RockShox Trailhead app. So we're going to put it to the Trailhead recommended setting of 5. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Okay, this is 0 tokens, 78 PSI. Okay. So I pulled the 2 tokens out of here, and it's definitely This fork goes into the progressive category because it felt pretty good. Actually felt better with the 2 tokens removed from the last 50 miles. So 3-foot huck to flat. First order of business is we're going to set the bottom out control. Now this is my personal preference, but I like to dial in the bottom out control. I've tried to do rebound first, but this is probably the #1 setting to get right so you're not clanking your fork. Okay, 3-foot huck to flat, 0 tokens. So forks come in a whole bunch of different variations, but the first thing you should be doing on your domain is pulling all the tokens out of it, because the fork felt substantially better than the previous 50 miles and it passed through the 3-foot huck to flat. So I actually have an idea, because you never want to put tokens in. They're kind of like band-aids. 78, but on e-bike it was 88. So we're going to disregard the sag numbers and go up to 88 with the digital shock pump. It's an interesting note that with 2 tokens removed from the domain, it felt better. Now I was on the top tier 3.1 Zeb just recently and that fork needed 2 tokens. So let's see how it goes with the recommended e-bike pressure. This is the exact reason you absolutely need a digital shock pump for all RockShox products. It's the same story over and over and over. Basically, between 78 and 88, actually let's go back in time. So the first 50 miles I was running 56 PSI with 2 tokens, and that is a rubbish setting. The fork is extraordinarily sensitive to air pressure. So between 78 and 88 is gonna be the sweet spot for the air pressure, because it was actually harsh through here. Run 2 was at 86 PSI and run 1 was at 76, 78 PSI. So this is a very characteristic thing of RockShox being hypersensitive to air pressure. So your max air pressure adjustment should be no more than 5 PSI. So I'm gonna run through it again with the old setting. And once again, the fork is feeling not like a wall of resistance. So this may be coming across as very easy, but remember I've rode every single RockShox product there is, and it's not easy. And I'm still struggling. So 4 PSI difference is huge on this thing, and you'll never get that with that analog shock pump. So now it's time to move on to the next adjustment. After getting the air pressure pretty dialed in, let's move on to the rebound. Basically the last adjustment on this thing. So we got 45 minutes left before we're done. So the air pressure is extraordinarily sensitive, like every other RockShox product with an air spring out there. 78 PSI is the magic number. So we're gonna double check the rebound. 1, 2, 3, 5. So faster rebound will be better if you do have enough control. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. So my DVO Jade is leaking oil. Actually, the rear shock setup is #1 on the list, and I shouldn't have put this shock on here, but I threw that in because the rear shock setup can absolutely destroy your front fork setup. So with 7 clicks, 2 clicks faster than RockShox recommended setting, the fork is jumping better. So basically what this means is we're gonna move it to the faster direction until it doesn't feel good. So this is 9 total clicks of rebound, which is more than halfway. Oh. Okay, I think I just flatted. So we found the maximum, and I just did some weird kind of pinch flat and lost all my pressure. With 9 total clicks of rebound, the fork was out of control, so it's time to go 2 clicks back to the #7 setting, refill the tire. I just forgot to press the valve. Basically, if you don't close the valve, they'll pinch flat themselves. So at this point, it's time to find a steeper lip or a more challenging jump or terrain. Final verification test, 3-foot huck to flat, but a kind of punchy lip to see if the control is right. One single run off this steep 3-foot huck to flat, I knew right away what I needed to do. With 7 clicks of rebound, there was no control. So if you want more control, move it to the turtle direction. So it was a very good lesson learned adjusting the rebound. So we have massive jumps in the rebound, so I recommend adjusting these 1 single click at a time. Some forks, like a Fox fork, you can make 2, 3, 5 clicks and you can barely feel it. This one is the polar opposite. The fork is extraordinarily sensitive to rebound. Let's see where I ended up. I was just fighting it between 6 and 7 clicks of rebound. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. So 6 was the magic number for me. Using the top compression adjust is like an absolute last resort if you have nothing better to do. But really, it's not like a purposeful adjuster. It literally says pedal and firm on top of it. If you want a boiled down condensed version with secret tips about how to set up your RockShox domain, it's linked in the first comment. It's a paid PDF.